In episode 40, I talked about the 5 types of community: interest, action, practice, circumstance, and place. Interest is a hobby like the Tivoli Running Club that Brian's in. Action is a group bringing change, like a political group or a bunch of us who rallied to elect 2 people we wanted on the Board of Ed recently. Community of practice can be your profession. Circumstance is more ad hoc when you're brought together by an outside event. And place? Place is about geography, sharing it. Since the pandemic started, like many people, I've been working from home, as you know, in a converted goat shed, except when it got too cold, since the building has no insulation and the space heaters only do so much. It's a 20 by 16 room, and I'm really lucky to have it. Brian is especially happy to have me out of the house from my blaring conference calls. I've called around for 3 different estimates on insulating the walls or ceiling so I can use it past October. Otherwise, it's just going to be a room for the Peloton that I do not use. I love working remote. I love the unrushed mornings, having Nora with me as a sidekick. The only thing I really hate is spotty internet and making my own lunch. I've looked into renting a space or joining one of the co-working spaces that are popping up all over the Hudson Valley. You'll get to know one of them, Bangleworks, right here in Dutchess County in this episode. There's something about being around other people. Back in our New York office during the holiday parties, remember them? I won 2 awards, which I'm not sure I should brag about. One was the Snapchat Award. Now, the Snapchat Award was for the person most likely to talk to you for 10 seconds and then disappear. I was mortified. After it was announced to howls of laughter at me, I asked an associate if I really do that, and she was like, "Oh yeah, you won that one handedly." Since then, I talked to everyone for at least 20 seconds. The following year, I won the Rumbo Award, since I would apparently talk on the phone, and instead of sitting still in one place, I would wander all around the office, back and forth for everyone to observe. So communities. Clearly I like being around people, although one might argue it's unclear how much. What I can say is I wouldn't mind being around others again. Maybe I'll join a co-working space. I'll definitely be training back into the city a few times a month with the Empire regulars. I went last week for a day to our office in Midtown, and it was a good way to see real people 3-dimensionally. Well, just for a little bit. I'm Matt Zucker, and this is Cidiot, learning to live and love life in the Hudson Valley. Episode 49, Bangleworks. You know, I talk so much about Red Hook, Rhinebeck, Tivoli, Germantown, Kingston, Hudson, and remember we even did an episode on Poughkeepsie. So I was really excited to hear from Steve and Tom at Bangleworks Co-working Space and Community Building in Stanfordville. They were interested in Bangleworks sponsoring Cidiot. So Brian and I hopped in the car to go meet them, see the co-working space, and get to know a place in Dutchess County that we didn't know well. You know I love local history. Bangle's not only where both James Cagney and Orville Redenbacher lived, but get this, it's also where Alfred Moser Butts, who invented Scrabble back in 1948, once lived. According to Steve and Tom, his nephew still lives there. Bangleworks in the town of Stanford just had a big Scrabble tourney to celebrate one of their proudest residents. We have some breaking news. Cidiot just won top spot in the Reader's Choice Awards in Chronogram magazine for regional podcast. That's right, thanks to you, Cidiot won a chronogrammy. Wondering if your vote matters? Yes, it does. Thank you. And this is just weeks after winning a Communicator Award for excellence in podcasting. Cidiot is on a roll. Okay, now that you know you're part of an award-winning audio community, come meet Steve and Tom and hear about theirs. Hi, Steve and Tom.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
I'm excited to talk to you about Bangle and about Stanford and the community. Maybe one place I'd like to start is that Cidiots move upstate for a lot of different reasons. Maybe you could first tell me what brought you up here, why, when.
We were looking to get a second home for weekends, and we went off in every different direction around New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, and we just drove up the Taconic one day, and in such a short time we were in Millbrook, and it just felt a million miles. For an hour and a half drive, it was just a million miles away. And that was the beginning. I think that was 2006, and we really didn't commit until we purchased in 2014.
Tom was the one that found the Hudson Valley, and I came to love it, and we ventured to places that we hadn't been before.
And it felt like no one else had been either. Very under the radar. It didn't feel that it was being consumed so immediately by New Yorkers. It was sophisticated enough, but still laid back to the extent that you felt that you were uncovering little treasures with every trip.
Which still happens, by the way, which we'll talk about later, but that's really
Yeah.
how we felt when we started
It can-
to uncover things. It's incredible.
It continues to reveal itself with every venture. You can explore endlessly, it seems.
Nobody really ever knows about the town until they find maybe a place to live, and depending on their view of their home or their property, and then you learn about the town. And the more that we learned about the town, this was our headquarters for our home search. There was a restaurant and a cafe nearby that we would get our coffee and our croissant, and that was our headquarters. So we learned more about it. We discovered Stanford, which is a bucolic Northern Dutchess rural zoning location. The main strip in Stanford is Route 82, and evidently years ago, like in the 60s, there was a lot of stuff there because we met neighbors and other people that said, oh, there was a lot more going on here. And the fact that nothing was going on here is why we loved it.
Standstillville.
Standstillville. And Bengal, I think there's like 7 or 8 hamlets within Stanford, the town of Stanford, and Bengal is one of the historic hamlets because it's where the train came from New York, because the Borden milk factory was in Stanford, and there was a train here, and it's historic, and the homes are historic, and Bengal Works, our building, is historic. We just sort of focused on it. Tom loved it more than I did at first, the house that we bought.
It wasn't what we were looking for. We were coming up to look at land, or we were coming up to look at something much larger. And so this little downtrodden eyebrow on a half an acre was not our our goal. It just made sense. It was around the corner from the Red Devon, the restaurant we always went to. And we just thought, this is the best place to start. You know, we've been searching now for almost 10 years. Like, let's just do this, pull the trigger. It's easy entry point. And it just became a labor of love.
This episode of Cidiot is lucky to be sponsored by Bangleworks Coworking and Community Building in Stanfordville, New York. Nestled in the historic hamlet of Bangle, the comfortably designed space offers memberships for open-plan workspaces, private workstations, and special events and meetings both inside and outside. Bangleworks offers daily, part-time, and full-time memberships and provides high-speed internet, printer and scanner, kitchenette, package delivery, receiving, and more. All roads lead to Bangle, just minutes to Clinton, Millbrook, Pine Plains, Rhinebeck, Millerton, and Sharon, Connecticut. Visit bangleworks.com or email info@bangleworks.com and tell them Cidiot sent you. Now back to the episode. So Bangleworks, the business, the co-working space, how did that start?
Well, we basically finished the house and sat on the porch to have, your celebratory drink, and then looked across the street at this building. It was there all along, but we just realized that we had completed this renovation and didn't know what would happen across the street. At that time, there wasn't this push for this rural flight was happening. So this building was just going to languish. We knew it was slowly dilapidating. We met the one tenant at the post office who gave us a little bit of an inside track on how we could best negotiate with the bank who owned the property. And we just figured that this was something that we needed to pursue in order to protect the investment. After that, we just realized we bought a bar. We bought a bar with 2 apartments and some extra commercial space. And we just began to kind of slowly put them back into use and back on the grid. We went to the trouble of fixing up one of the apartments and to get them basically leased so that we could create a revenue stream. But the restaurant was large, and it just didn't fit any particular tenant. We went to the Board of Health, and the violations were significant. And you just, if you're doing something with food service in the Hudson Valley, it's problematic because you have basically private water, private sewer, which don't lend themselves to scale. And Steve was was leasing it. There was an actuary, there was a financial planner. These people were looking, they were like, oh, they were hoping for much smaller square footage. And that's when we began to put it together. We said, there's a lot of people out here who need to get out of their home to go to someplace and get into a professional work environment. Maybe we can offer that up through a co-working space.
I mean, we did our due diligence at the Dutchess County. We looked at the old files, we looked at the old violations, and we said we need to be low impact here. Yes, we have a bathroom. Yes, we can, do minor food serving, no preparation, but there's a septic there, the well is there, the bathrooms are working. We have to be low impact, however, a service to the community. We've had attorneys from PBS, we have numbers of, landscape business consultants, IT people, sound recorders. Either they want to get away from their children, get away from their kitchen table, or figure out what they're going to do. This pandemic has changed the type of people that are inquiring about our spaces. And in addition to our open space, we've currently rented 2 private workstations that Tom renovated. The members are the newcomers, people that have changed their lives, that are moving here, or they live near here. They live in Sharon, Connecticut. They live in Amenia, Lakeville, and they're looking to get out of their house.
It's homey, it's cozy.
I think members that join a co-working space want to collaborate and do other events and things. So I think it's even going to get better, Matt, when we do fully open up and can offer other after-hour events or symposiums. Our Scrabble thing coming up, that's an amenity for members that we need to build our content and our curriculum of other stuff that we're going to do here, which includes music, which includes art, that we've had former art lessons here, and design stuff. We've had a symposium on interior design. So we're just really getting going again after a year of waiting. Every day we get inquiries. Like somebody's emailing or calling every day. There's like 5 new people coming over the next couple of days. They're all from consulting and internet, and some people very high up. All of them singularly are experts in their fields, but we want to bring them together, and we haven't been able to do that much recently. That's why they come here, to collaborate.
Thanks for listening, and thanks again for voting to give Cidiot the Chronogram top place for regional podcast. Next time you play Scrabble, think of Bangle, and remember, Cidiot is a 6-letter word. I'm Matt Zucker, and it's pick your own season in the Hudson Valley. Strawberries, cherries, peaches. Yeah, I know I'm allergic, but you're not. Come visit.